Why through hike? That's not really a question I ask myself. That's a question I get asked by other people. And I always feel like I don't have an adequate answer for them. That whatever I give them is not going to be satisfactory. I feel like when they ask, they're not really trying to understand. Most people are asking from their own bubble of rationality, and they're trying to fit the idea of long distance or through hiking into their rational view of how things should be or supposed to be. And I can't really do that for them. So I usually just kind of shrug my shoulder and say, well, I don't really have an answer for you. And it's not that I'm being flippant. It's just that how do you explain it to somebody? I guess the easiest way, the shortest, most concise is for me. Uh, I guess for me, through hiking is life. That's what I do when I through hike is kind of how I choose to live my life. And I know that needs a little more explanation. For me, long distance hiking is intellectually, physically, emotionally, psychologically challenging. And I enjoy that about it. The trail has peaks and valleys, ups and downs. The act of hiking has those same peaks and valleys, ups and downs. I have peaks and valleys, ups and downs. And when you go through all those struggles, you adapt. You become more resilient to them. And over time, things don't become easy. They just become less hard. And they become less hard because you've adapted to all the discomfort. The things that were uncomfortable have now become comfortable. And it's not that anything about any of that stuff has changed. The hiking, the bad weather, the cold, the height, none of that has changed. What's changed is me. I've changed. I've adapted to it. And what I used to see as something that was uncomfortable now isn't. And I kind of like that. I like pushing myself, finding what those boundaries are, and you just keep moving those boundaries. Next thing, kind of along that same line about moving those boundaries, it's kind of changing your intellectual boundaries. Um, so there's a lot of different stuff that goes on in hiking. You get to meet a lot of different people, um, people with different views, people from different cultures. That changes your perspective, and nature itself changes your perspective. You get to see kind of an instinctual kind of intelligence in nature. As you're walking through these big magnificent places, you see wildlife, you see plant life. Um, Sometimes you wonder how things can grow in certain areas, and I just kind of marvel at it. I enjoy kind of the mystery of it all. I don't need to actually understand things intellectually anymore. I can just look at something and just kind of sit back and relax in the mystery of it. And I guess through that, what I'm trying to do is become a more natural version of myself, not the version that society or the world says that I need to be. So I guess what I get is kind of a self-reflection. Everything that the modern world says is important, necessary, long distance through hiking, all of that stuff just kind of falls away. I mean, really, all that you have to do is you got to sleep, eat and drink, and use the bathroom. That's pretty much through hiking, long distance hiking in a nutshell. Of course, you got some resupply sometimes to deal with, and challenges, logistical challenges, we'll call them. But it can't get any simpler than that. And because it's so simple, you get to live in the now, right here and now, because you're not worried about any of that stuff. You can worry about what the trail is going to be like. Is it going to be a lot of snow? Is it going to be storms? Is there going to be water up ahead? You can kind of worry about that stuff, but you get to the point, if you've done it enough, where you don't really. It goes back to that whole comfort thing. You've adapted, and the things that you thought you needed to make you comfortable, you don't need those things anymore. And so you kind of let those things kind of fall away, that pining for things. And I guess a real quick antidote, almost anybody that's done any long distance or through hiking will understand it, is how you, at some point, you'll start dreaming about some food in town. Hamburger, pizza, Mexican food. So that was for me on the Appalachian Trail. It was someplace in Virginia. I was popping in for a resupply. I was going to do laundry, maybe get a shower. There was a Mexican food restaurant that was supposed to be like right off of the trail, and then go to a Dollar General and resupply. And I'd been dreaming up this Mexican food in my head, building up how good it was going to be. And I pop out off of the trail into the town, and the Mexican restaurant is not open yet. It's going to be like another 30 minutes. So I'm like, it's already going to be like a 2-3 hour town stop, and I'm not one of those guys that likes to be in town very long. I want to get in, get my business done, and then get back to hiking. And so I'm kind of doing the mental math, and I think, it's going to be like that. That's going to be 45 minutes for me to get in, get my food and eat and everything. So now we've added another 30 minutes on top of that. So I was kind of waffling on about it, and I decided I'll just go take care of my chores in town, get everything done, and then on my way out, I'll stop and get it. So remember, I was going to be doing laundry. I decided I would go ahead and go into Dollar General and do my resupply, and then go back to the laundromat, get everything started there, and then I could like rebox and repackage all my stuff. That was my plan anyway. Go into the Dollar General, get my resupply done, go to the laundromat, and there's no coin changer in the place. It's out of operation. And there's a sign on the window that says to call these two numbers to get change. So, but there's no area code. So I look up on the internet. I try to find the area code for that area, and I found all the possible area codes, and I called every conceivable possible sequence of telephone numbers I could think of, and they were either out of service or nobody answered. So I'm like, oh dang it. Okay, so I walked back over to the Dollar General. I figured I'd get some change there, and as soon as I enter the doors, I noticed a sign at the first register, and it says, "We don't give change for the laundromat under any circumstances." Like, dang it. So I'm like, all right, I didn't even ask. I turn around and walk back out, and I'm thinking, all right, well, I've already missed out on the Mexican food. There is no laundry to be done. And so I was going to have lunch at the Mexican restaurant. By this time, I was kind of broken. As funny as that sounds, right? And so I go back into Dollar General, and I get some flour tortillas, some bean dip, some nacho cheese dip, a bottle of hot sauce, and I think some black olives. And I sat down outside, and I just ate some bean burritos, bean and cheese and olive burritos. And that was it. And after that day right there, it kind of, I would say it broke me. All the other hiking I've done, all of my expectations are gone. I don't look forward to anything in town anymore. I didn't like that feeling at all. So I abandoned it. So Now it's just I kind of have a plan about what's going to happen. There's some planning that goes on, and it either works out or it doesn't. But I'm fairly neutral about things. I'm not either looking forward to it or dreading it. It's just I just go in and do it. What that whole incident taught me was we can only live for right now. We can't live in the past. We can't live in the future. Because if we do, we're going to be miserable either way we go, right? Because things are always not going to work out in the future at some point in time, and you're going to be disappointed. And if you're living in the past, you're always going to be living in those disappointments in the past as well. There'll be some great times in the past, but the disappointments are what's going to come bubbling up to the surface, and you got to let go of that stuff. So if you live for right now, you're not living in the future and the past. You're living right in this moment. So if you're living right in this moment on the trail, the simplest things bring ecstatic joy. I have found a perfectly wrapped piece of candy on a sidewalk in a trail town, and you bet your bottom dollar I picked that sucker up and ate it, and it was delicious. We were given, I was hiking with two young ladies on the Appalachian Trail, and we were given some freeze-dried creme brulee dessert by some day hikers. And that evening, at one of the shelters, we actually met up with a guy one of the other young ladies had been hiking with, and anyway, it was just kind of serendipity, and that rehydrated, freeze-dried creme brulee after a long day, and you've had your dinner, and there's four of you sitting around in this little bag. It was delicious. It was the best creme brulee I've ever had in my entire life. Now, if I was to go back and eat that again, as I'm sitting here, not having done a really, really long hike in a long time, I'd be like, oh, that was probably not so good. But at that moment, it was delicious. What that kind of teaches me is that this expectation of happiness and satisfaction from luxury isn't really necessary. We can get high levels of satisfaction and joy from the simplest things. And then there's nature, the universe, the grandeur of it all. You look up at the night sky, there's no lights, and you see all the stars up there. You have life and death going on all around you. You can feel insignificant and significant at the same time. And what thru-hiking through nature shows you is that you're connected to it all. Right? There's no way to escape it. You are in the weather. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, essentially. If it's cold, you're cold. If it's hot, you're hot. There's no way to get away from it. You're hiking through it. You're hiking through the woods. You're hiking through the mountains. You're hiking through the water. You're hiking through the snow. You're hiking through the rain. You're hiking through lightning storms. And that's what I enjoy. I feel that I'm not estranged from the natural world. I'm actually part of the natural world. And I guess that's pretty much it. That's the sum of it all. If you take all that explanation and you kind of roll it up in a nice, neat little ball, you come back to the same thing that I started with. That thru-hiking is life. So it's life as I would like to live it. Simple, uncomplicated, getting back to our natural state, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and becoming part of the world again. So, yeah, for me, thru-hiking is life, and that's why I thru-hike.